Today we're going to talk about a story by Plato called The Ring of Gyges. In this video, you're going to be introduced to the Ring of Gyges story from Plato's Republic. You'll have the opportunity to answer the question for yourself, do you think that we only live morally because society forces us to? So the setup for Plato's story, as I said, this is known as the Ring of Gyges, and it comes from Plato's book, The Republic. And the part that we're going to look at is a monologue from the character Glaucon. Glaucon is going to argue that we only live morally because society forces us to, and he's going to use a story about Gyges to make this point. This particular translation that we're looking at is from the Complete Works of Plato, and it was originally translated by G.M.A Grube, and then later revised by C.D.C Reeve. Now I'm going to read the story, and then talk about it a little bit. I'm going to read it in my Glaucon voice. We can see most clearly that those who practice justice do it unwillingly, and because they lack the power to do injustice. If in our thoughts we grant to a just and unjust person the freedom to do whatever they like, we can then follow both of them and see where their desires would lead, and will catch the just person red-handed, traveling the same road as the unjust. The reason for this is the desire to outdo others and get more and more. This is what anyone's nature naturally pursues as good. But nature is forced by law into the perversion of treating fairness with respect. The freedom I mentioned would be most easily realized if both people had the power they say the ancestors of Gyges of Lydia possessed. The story goes that he was a shepherd in the service of the ruler of Lydia. There was a violent thunderstorm, and an earthquake broke open the ground and created a chasm at the place where he was tending his sheep. Seeing this, he was filled with amazement and went down into it. And there, in addition to many other wonders of which we're told, he saw a hollow bronze horse. There was a window-like opening in it, and peeping in, he saw a corpse, which seemed to be of more than human size, wearing nothing but a gold ring on its finger. He took the ring and came out of the chasm. He wore the ring at the usual monthly meeting that reported to the king on the state of the flocks, and as he was sitting among the others, he happened to turn the setting of the ring towards himself to the inside of his hand. When he did this, he became invisible to those sitting near him, and they went on talking as if he had gone. He wondered at this, and fingering the ring, he turned the setting outwards again, and became visible. So he experimented with the ring to test whether it indeed had this power. And it did. If he turned the setting inward, he became invisible. If he turned it outward, he became visible again. When he realized this, he at once arranged to become one of the messengers sent to report to the king. And when he arrived there, he seduced the king's wife, attacked the king with her help, killed him, and took over the kingdom. Let's suppose, then, that there were two such rings, one worn by a just and the other by an unjust person. Now, no one, it seems, would be so incorruptible that he would stay on the path of justice or stay away from other people's property when he could take whatever he wanted from the marketplace with impunity, go into people's houses and have sex with anyone he wished, kill or release from prison anyone he wished, and do all of the other things that would make him like a god among humans. Rather, his actions would be in no way different from those of an unjust person, and both would follow the same path. This, some would say, is a great proof that one is never just willingly, but only when compelled to be. No one believes justice to be a good when it's kept private, since wherever either person thinks he can do injustice with impunity, he does it. Indeed, every man believes that injustice is far more profitable to himself than justice. And any exponent of this argument will say he's right, for someone who didn't want to do injustice, given this sort of opportunity, and who didn't touch other people's property, would be thought wretched and stupid by everyone aware of the situation. Though, of course, they'd praise him in public, deceiving each other for fear of suffering injustice. All right, so let's review the argument that Glaucon gives. In this monologue, Glaucon defends the claim that a just or good person is only good because they're forced by laws to act this way. He argues that if people had the power to do what they wanted to do without getting caught, even the just person would act unjust. This is because people are naturally driven to pursue their desires, to outdo others and to get more, unless they're forced by law to treat people with fairness and respect. Glaucon illustrates this point by telling the story of the Ring of Gyges. So what do you think of this story? Do you think that Glaucon's right, and that we're only just and good because we're forced to do so by laws? Or do you think that we're good for other reasons?